On September 15th, Apple announced a new service called Apple One, which combines some of its popular services into a bundle for users. They also announced a new service called Apple Fitness Plus that offers workouts of all kinds for everyone, from yoga to stretching to weight training, cycling, and even mindfulness. Last November, they announced a new streaming service called Apple TV Plus, which makes original movies and TV shows, and will compete with streaming services like Netflix. A short while before that, they announced a credit card called Apple Card in partnership with Goldman Sachs. Doesn't this all seem a bit random? Why in the world is a technology giant whose focus has always been on making amazing devices bumbling about into all these other domains like creating TV shows and workout programs? What kind of strange strategy is this? And how is it all tied together? Today we're going to explore this question and try to understand the strategy that ties all of these random ventures together. But first, please take a moment to like and subscribe so we can keep making more videos like this. Apple is a business, and like all businesses, it really only has one goal: to make money. Duh. But also, like all businesses, Apple has to decide where to focus its time and resources. And while Apple has dabbled in a few other areas in the past, they have usually been laser-focused on building hardware devices like iPhone, iPad, and Mac. And they do that really well. That is where most of their revenue comes from, and that is what makes them the most valuable company in the world. In fact, Apple makes more than 80% of its revenue from hardware sales, with the iPhone accounting for 50 to 60% of its annual revenue. Well, obviously, that's what Apple does, right? Right. But that's now becoming a big problem for Apple. Like most tech companies, the reason people invest in Apple is because they expect its revenue to keep growing year over year. It's not enough for Apple to keep making tons of money. The numbers also have to increase every year. But that's increasingly difficult to do through hardware sales alone. iPhone sales have been relatively flat for years. In 2017, Apple hiked up the price of their iPhone X, which improved their revenue from iPhone. But they can't keep doing that every year. Smartphones have also reached something of a saturation point, where the flagship phones are all very similar and only differ in minor camera or display specs. This is why every iPhone launch is less exciting than the last. There's simply not much more people need from a smartphone, which means that people don't need to upgrade their phone every 1 to 2 years anymore. The biggest difference between the phones at this point is just the operating system, Android versus iOS. Apple also can't get any significant market share in lower-income markets like India because $1,000 iPhones can't compete with $50 budget smartphones in those markets. So Apple retains its customers by making Apple devices work better with other Apple devices and worse with non-Apple devices. iOS works better with Mac than with Windows and vice versa. Same for AirPods. If you have an Apple Watch, you can only use it with iOS. This is how Apple keeps customers locked into their ecosystem. And this brings in lots of revenue every year as people upgrade their old Apple devices for new Apple devices. But this is a very fragile pillar to balance a $2 trillion company on. Enter services. This is where Apple's master plan comes in, the key ingredient to continuing their growth and doubling their revenue over the next few years. With over 1.4 billion active Apple devices across the world, it's pretty easy for Apple to attract users to its new services. Apple Card, for example, is by far the easiest credit card to apply for. It takes under 2 minutes to get one, and unlike traditional credit cards, Apple doesn't have to market it. They can just send you a push notification nudging you to sign up for one. In fact, they had reportedly received over 3 million sign-ups in just the first 6 months since launch. Just like Apple Card, Apple has the ability to get users to use its apps very easily. How often do you use a weather app other than the stock iOS weather app? Exactly. Just a week ago, Apple announced a new offering which would combine a bunch of their services: TV Plus, Music, Arcade, Fitness Plus, News Plus, and iCloud into a single subscription bundle called Apple One. Apple One is Apple's version of Amazon Prime. Prime is amazing because it gives you access to so many services like free shipping, 2-day delivery, Prime Video, music, gaming, Whole Foods, Fresh, and so much more, that it's practically a steal, and that's exactly what Apple plans to do with Apple One. Let's talk numbers. If Apple could convince all of its 1.5 billion users to sign up for the $15 version of Apple One, that's around $270 billion in annual recurring revenue. Maybe it can't convince them all, but even 50% of $270 billion is a lot, almost as much as iPhone revenue. And unlike iPhone revenue, the costs of the service business are a lot lower, so a large part of the service revenue will fall straight to their bottom line. So now all Apple has to do is make Apple One a really good deal. So good that it becomes a no-brainer like Amazon Prime. A Spotify subscription costs $10 a month. Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus are all similarly priced. Cloud storage providers like Dropbox and iCloud also charge at least a few dollars a month. So do digital subscriptions for newspaper and magazines. So if Apple is offering a service for just $15 a month, with iCloud, music, gaming, and Apple TV Plus, with a bunch of original movies and TV shows, it doesn't sound like a bad deal at all. For $30 a month, you can get Apple One Premier and replace your ClassPass membership and all the new subscriptions. Not a bad deal at all. Over time, they will probably layer in even more services as well to make their value proposition even better and attract more and more users. Books, podcasts, Apple Card benefits, maybe even Apple Care Insurance. So, while the base subscription starts at $15, people will probably end up paying even more per month on average, and it will still be a good deal. But it doesn't end there. Like any good Apple story, it always ends with you locked into the ecosystem, and this is no different. The services that are a part of Apple One will only be available on Apple devices, keeping you locked in even tighter, strengthening their foundational hardware business by making sure that your next phone is still an iPhone. If you enjoyed this Lightbulb moment, please take a second to give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos like this.